I am Professor Abby Koenig, and I would like to welcome you to Communication Theory. This class focuses on all the various theories that we incorporate into communication, which is, in fact, a social science, if you didn't know. So I want to start with Chapter 1, which is really an overview, and this is our textbook. So if you can't see it, it is Introducing Communication Theory, Application, and Analysis. So the first chapter in the textbook really is an overview, and for this course, I would assume most of us have been through the basics of communication. I think that we have to be in this class. So I don't really want to focus too much on this sort of overview of what communication is and all the different models of communication, which is covered in this first chapter. But I'd like us to define communication, because I think that is a challenge. And the book addresses some of the challenges to defining communication, because what is communication? There's so much to it. And there's not just one definition that theorists and scholars agree on. Some of those varying definitions include symbols, signs. Communication is it's social. There's something to a process of communication. There's meaning that comes out of the communication process. And when we think about communication, it's important to remember that it's not just the words that come out of my mouth, that it's my hand gestures, my nonverbals. It's also other things, right? It's accessories. It's what I'm wearing. It's how I set up my room. So you look around behind me, well, what have I got here? I've got a big painting on my wall. That's a form of communication. So visual communication, nonverbal, as I said. Also, think about the aspect of persuasion in communication. We're really going to get into rhetoric and persuasion later on in the chapter, but it's important to know that communication is goal-oriented. And really, our goal is often to inform, to persuade, and to influence one another. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing in many, many occasions, that even when we say hi, when we're walking down the street or down the hall to another student or a fellow colleague or in work, whatever, why did you say hi? Think about those things. Is it just instinctual? Is communication instinctual? Or is it purposeful? So yeah, sometimes we think we just say things for the sake of saying things, but there's always something going on behind the scenes. And that's really important to sort of the cognitive process of communication. Whether you realize it or not, you are trying to show something about yourself through the words, the symbols, the signs, etc. that you communicate. So again, there's often, there's various models that this chapter talks about: the linear model, the transactional model, the interactional model. And I really don't want to get into these because I think that you should know those by now in this course. But I think it's important to talk about models. Are models still worthy of our focus? Like, why do we care about models? Because that's a big part of theory. And as we go through this textbook and talk more about the communication theory, we're going to find a lot of models. And why do we do that? Well, models they're simplification, they're reductive, but they're necessary in a lot of ways because they help us visualize what it is that we're trying to get across. So I encourage you to explore models throughout this course. This chapter is really nice because it shows you some real basic models that you can look at and say, oh, okay, I see. I've got a sender, I've got a receiver. That's a model, linear model of communication. It goes one way, and I could very easily visualize that and explain it. Models help us explain complex theories. This chapter talks a lot about ethics as well, and I am a big proponent of ethics and talking about ethics, and I think it's really important, especially given our current communication situation, our media situation, our business situation, and this is global, local, national. We have to think about ethics on a lot of different scales in terms of how we communicate what's important, our morals, our values. And this chapter really focuses on some of the different decision making necessary in various sectors. So the business sector, the ethics in religion, ethics in the entertainment sector, ethics in higher education. So you're a part of higher education, I'm a part of higher education. Do we share ethics? And what are those ethics that we share? What is important to you as a student? What is important to you as a person who pays money to get an education? Do you want to be told the truth? Or do you want to be told enough of the truth? Do you want to be told a little bit of the truth so that you get by and you can say, I'm done with this class? Do you want to just get by and be done with this class? And that's a part of, your own personal values and morals. But this is tied to communication. Ethics is a huge part of communication. Technology is a big part of thinking about ethics. And some final thoughts in this chapter. It's a pretty short chapter. Think about how communication is important to you. That's what I would like for us to get out of this class. So there's a lot of big theories, big ideas. Some of them are not easy to swallow, and some of them are not easy to verbalize. For even communication scholars, it's hard to say, this happens because of this. But I want you to think about these theories in terms of how they're important to your life and how they're important to the world around you, your family, your relationships. And understanding that why we study communication theory. And that's a big part of this class, because we can go through this whole textbook. You could close it and say, yep, I get it, but now what? And so the social sciences, a big part of it is the now what. So now what do I do with all of this information? And why should anyone care about this information? And I hope by the end of this class and reading this textbook, you will care and you will have some now what do I do with this that you can take away into your everyday life and share and educate those around you. Okay, if you need me, please feel free to email me anytime.